Hi, welcome back to Knight's Home Farms. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We have been making kombucha at home now for probably a few months. I ordered a SCOBY on Amazon and it came with the gallon jar and all of the instructions and everything. Have it back here. I set it next to the refrigerator so that it gets the heat from in behind the refrigerator to keep it warm so that it's between 75 and 85. And this one has been going now for 9 days. We tried 10, didn't care for it. We tried 7. I think we had one that was at 8 as well. That one seemed to carbonate really well on the second ferment, and ever since then they've been a little bubbly but not a lot bubbly, and we would kind of prefer them to be a little bit more effervescent. So I have these really cool jars that I ordered off of Amazon as well. I think they're made for beer. They have the flip top and click down, really hold everything in there really good. A little tricky to get open sometimes. The little rubber gaskets come off for easy cleaning, and then they also send you, I think they send you 6 replacements. So it's a box of 6, and there are 6 replacement seals as well in the package. So I really like them. They're nice and heavy. So I have 6 bottles here. I'm going to add some pomegranate juice. That's kind of, we've tried several different flavors, and the pomegranate seems to be our favorite. However, we did purchase some kombucha just to try out different flavors and combinations, and the one that we really liked was pineapple. So I think I'm going to try to get some pineapple juice and make it with that next time as well. Now I do actually have 2 jars going because we drink this on a daily basis, every day, every night, right before we have our dinner. So I ordered another jar. Actually, it was a 2-pack. I ordered another jar, and I do have another one going now. This one's 5 days old, so it'll be about 4 more days before I have to bottle this guy up, and by that time then we'll have, you know, the six more jars empty. I intended to do this yesterday, didn't get to it, so we were shooting for the 8-day first ferment prior to bottling and doing the second ferment. Anyway, let's get started. I'll make a mess on camera of our funnel. We need a container to put the SCOBY in. It's gonna sit for a day or 2. And then I like to measure this out about half a cup of juice. I've tried all different ratios. Now I'm going to wash my hands, but I'm washing my hands with dish soap because my hand soap is actually antibacterial. And one of the things I read was you don't want to accidentally somehow get a little bit of antibacterial soap into your SCOBY, because it'll kill all of its bacteria. So just a little tip there. Wash and rinse very well. Turn some lights on. I probably should have done that before. That's a little better. So we're going to get the SCOBY out of here, put it in a container with some of the kombucha, and that's going to be our starter for our next gallon. That aside from here and get that, and then we're going to measure half a cup of pomegranate juice into each of the bottles. Or you can add fruit, which I have done. We found that we didn't really like having chunks in our kombucha, so then we were straining, and that was, you know, another unnecessary step. So switch to adding juice. Find that clear juices work best. Now the kombucha making, not the process necessarily, but the fact that we've been making it, that's all been on our Instagram account. So if you want to follow along with us in between our YouTube videos, Instagram is a really good place to do that. So now I just have my long-handled 1 cup measure, so I can get down in this jar a little better with that. And I like leaving just a little bit of headspace in there. Now this is gonna eat up the sugars that are in the juice that we just added to it. So it will, like I said, it'll start to carbonate. It will start filling up that bottle. And we do have to burp them every night. Now the interesting thing about the kombucha, I make it with organic black tea and organic sugar, raw sugar. And when you first make it, it's black. And over the course of the week, and in this case 9 days, that it's been in the gallon jar, the color changes so drastically. I find it really amazing. It turns to this gorgeous honey color. And then you can tell it's going to change again when I add it to the pomegranate juice. But then over the course of, sometimes I do the second ferment for 3 days, sometimes for 4 days. I think what we're trying to get to is an 8-day first ferment and a 4-day second ferment. It just makes everything easy to keep track of. So if you're new here to our channel, I live here with my husband, 4 indoor cats and 1 outdoor cat currently. We lived in California for decades. I was there for 30 years. My husband was there for, I think, 40. One day we decided we wanted a different lifestyle. In California's prices and the hamster wheel, we just knew that we couldn't do what we wanted to do there. And we were also thinking about retirement, whether or not we would be able to retire if we stayed in California. So we just decided, you know, maybe we should start thinking about going somewhere else and doing something else, because if we don't do it now, we probably won't have the opportunity, or we wouldn't be able to get it going 100%, you know, before we did retire, or before our bodies gave out on us, or, you know, whatever, before we decided we didn't want to work so hard. So we started thinking about where we would go, and we knew after being in California for so long that we really didn't want 4 seasons. I came from Wisconsin, my husband came from Indiana. We both experienced snow and ice, and we both knew that that wasn't something that we wanted to do after being in California for so long without that. So that kind of left us to warmer states. And there was just something interesting about Texas, like we both said, what about Texas? So that's kind of how we ended up here. we looked at northern Texas and realized, you know, that California had been in like a 10-year drought prior to us leaving. At the year that we left, it was that we were actually out of the drought finally. And we looked at the upper portion of this state and thought, you know, that's not really that much different than where we're at. We would like to be someplace where we got more rain and where it was a little bit more lush and green. So we started looking at the southern part of the state, and San Antonio just kind of jumped out at us. So we decided the best way to decide whether we wanted to do that or not would be take a vacation to San Antonio. So we did that in 2018. Came to San Antonio for a week, I believe, and we looked at a lot of things. We didn't look at land at that point. We hadn't gotten to that point yet where we wanted to look at land. But we really liked the area, the surrounding area. So we went home from that trip thinking, I think this is someplace we could live. Well, my husband needed to get a transfer with his job. So that took us another 6 months. We thought it would be like a year to, you know, a year and a half, somewhere around in there. 6 months later, he's being told, we need you and we need you now. Like we want you at the beginning of next month or whatever it was. It was kind of funny. So the good part was after we decided, yes, we were definitely moving, you know, we had started the whole process of changing a few things about our house to put it on the market because we had it pretty specialized, I guess would be a good word for it. And if you watch the Hutch video, you'll see what our dining room looks like. It was navy blue with all of the shields and swords and suits of armor and that kind of stuff. So we decided, okay, well, we know we want to move, so let's just go ahead and start this. And we actually started it ourselves. We redid our master suite so that it was a neutral color that could go on the market. And then when he applied for the job, we both said, well, maybe we should get some help in here. So we got a painting company to come in, and they painted the rest of the interior of our house a nice neutral color. I'm just going to put the rest of this in this candy jar. We'll drink this part not flavored. There's not a lot here. And then this can be washed. This can go in the refrigerator. So for plain kombucha without a second ferment. Put this guy away. So anyway, we had a company come in and paint our house a nice neutral color, and then pretty much at the point where they were done with that, we found out that Lance would be leaving in a matter of like 3 weeks. So we had to step on the gas and get everything all packed up and get the house on the market. We had to, we had talked to the realtor to get it all started, but we hadn't pulled the trigger on getting it on the market yet. Got everything packed up, loaded it into a 26-foot Penske truck. I drove his car with 2 of our indoor cats, and I followed him in the Penske, and we drove for, I think it was 2 days to get to San Antonio. got him moved into an apartment. I stayed for like 3 days, and then I flew home. And then I had to do yard work and get the house cleaned up and get it ready for photos. And, staged it with the furniture that we had left. Get it ready for photos and pull the trigger on, yep, our house is for sale, and put the sign in the yard. And at that point, then all of the neighbors knew what was going on. Like, wow, they're leaving. Maybe the Penske was a giveaway, I don't know. So I was there for 2 more months by myself. It all went very smoothly. And at that point, then Lance flew home from San Antonio back to California and got me and the rest of our belongings and loaded it in another truck. And then I drove my car with the other 2 indoor cats, following another Penske, all the way to San Antonio for another 2-day drive. And then I moved into my own apartment because we, in the meantime, had found out, we can't have all 4 cats in one apartment. So he lived in one, I lived in another around the corner. Luckily, they were both very close to where he worked, so the 6 of us, I guess 4 cats and 2 people, the 6 of us were all very close by, but I had 2 apartments that I had to like remember, okay, if I'm going to be there tonight, what's for dinner, and do I need to go to the store and take anything? And then I had 2 apartments to clean and laundry in 2 different places, and 2 cats here and 2 cats there, and I had to be in both places every day. It was a little crazy. We thought that that was only going to go on for a few months because we didn't know anything about building a modular home and buying land, something that we had never done before. We had purchased a tract house, which that's all very simple, easy, comparatively speaking. So our process of actually obtaining another home, this house, on land that was able to do what we had in mind took a very long time. But it wasn't anybody's, like that's just how long it takes. We just didn't know that when we went into it. So we didn't actually get to move in until December. So our vacation was in September of 18. Lance left in March, but moved, by the time we got here, it was the 1st of April. I got here the 1st of June, 19. And then we didn't get to move into our house until the middle of December. So we did that whole crazy 6-month thing with the 2 apartments, and he was there for 8 months. It was a little crazy. It was very disconjointed. So we got moved in, grabbed everything from the 2 apartments, got that out of there and into the house. But that wasn't a lot. The majority of our belongings were in a storage unit in the middle of San Antonio. So we finally got all of our stuff moved to the shipping container in April. Now, the other thing is we've been so busy outside that we still have a lot of it in the shipping container. Like the majority of my kitchen stuff is in the shipping container. A lot of like our wall decor and not stuff that you necessarily need. Everything we needed we had in the apartment, so that was easy to get here. But the other day we brought in 8 boxes, and the majority of them were for the kitchen. However, it seems like 1 was for the kitchen and 6 were for the dining room, like china and stuff, like things you're going to use every day, right? Stemware. And then we had one box of like decorative stuff that we brought in. So now I've set a goal. We are going to have everything moved in by the 1st of October. Well, today's the 31st of August, so we've only got 1 more month. We have to get all that stuff out of there and into here. I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe November is really probably a better goal. Anyway, back to kombucha. So now we've started our 2nd ferment on this batch of kombucha. And I'm just taking the bottles and tipping them. If you can see there how the pomegranate juice is at the bottom and the kombucha is at the top. Even though I poured it in over the top of it, it still wants to separate out. So I just tilt them. I don't really shake it, but I just tilt it so that it kind of incorporates. And now this goes on the countertop. I put it over here, kind of out of direct sunlight. And that's where it's going to stay for about 3-4 days. And every night I will burp them so that they can let out all of their excess. See, I'll show you where they are right now. They're right there. So not a lot of direct sunlight hits them. They're kind of in a shaded area. And here is one that I took out of the refrigerator, so it's all nice and frosty. You can see that the color is still consistent because of the tilting that I did, but it's not nearly as red as the other one, although it does show up a little bit more red on camera than in real life. It's more of an ale color, really. And then I'm going to take the SCOBY from this batch that I just did, and I'm going to go put it in the butler's pantry. So the rest of the story, obviously, we got the land, we got the house, we got moved in. We've been busy doing stuff, which we're showing you. But we're still not moved into our house yet, 100%. Maybe that will never happen, I don't know. Maybe nobody is ever 100% moved in. Thanks for watching.